And along the way, you've learned what you know now. Along the way, you've picked up the pieces and parts of spiritual purpose of learning. You made all the mistakes you needed to make. And it fills up the knowledge in the spiritual jar in your DNA. And in you come this time around as the human being who sits in the chair in this room. Now I ask you, have you opened that jar yet? Or are you going to make all the mistakes again? Well, I know the answer you'd like to give, so I'll tell you. You need to know this. In that spiritual jar, in those layers of DNA called the Akashic Record, is lifetimes of knowledge. And should you choose to open it with intent, out will come shamanic energy. You'll be so much wiser for doing that. Okay, I've just described one of the attributes of the first gift. The ability to have spiritual wisdom immediately. So that you will know your purpose, know your life lesson, begin to hear the music, feel the love of God in your life, start a process of connecting just by opening the spiritual jar. That's a big one, isn't it? It will lead you into what you need to know. It will lead you into synchronicities for the manifestation of what you're here for. Those who would open their spiritual jars will also have knowledge of what the courses are in the new energy that they need to take. For those are new. Those will help enhance what else I'm going to tell you. It all fits together. Now let me tell you about an interaction that you don't suspect. We will now return to layers 7 and 8, and we will look at layer 6, the higher self. What is it you think is important about past lives? I'll give you 2 attributes to discuss that are not new, but that are germane, that is, that they relate to this discussion. Number 1, there is no such thing as a past life. Put that in your notes. For it is a quantum state, DNA is, therefore you cannot use a time reference. What then is a past life, Kryon? Didn't I live it in the past? Oh, in 3D you might have, but it lives in your DNA as a current life energy. What does that mean, Kryon? I'll give this to you in a way that you can understand it. Easy. What if you were a great painter 300 years ago? Did you know it's still there? But Kryon, I can't even draw. I see. And you've made up your mind. And you will say to me, no, I've tried and I can't. And I say to you, you've tried in 3D. What if you went into meditation and talked to your cellular structure and said, I would like to pull upon that lifetime in which I could paint. I'm going to tell you something that you're going to get. Slowly, with intent to pull upon that talent, you'll start to draw. Colors will start to appear in a way they didn't before. You'll know what goes with what. My partner knows this is true, for he has pulled upon his Akash in order to do some of the things I have asked him to do. I'm getting ahead of myself. So your Akashic record is current, not past. Make a note of it. Now, how does that relate to your higher self? I will tell you. When you look at a past life, as you call it, let us say it was hundreds of years ago, and you're in some kind of a past life regressor's office, and they tell you you were someone else, and they give you information about who that might have been, and they can do that, for it is written in your Akash. How do you feel? Do you feel connected to it, or do you feel apart from it? Well, here's what I want to tell you. The higher self, number 6, was the same higher self then as it is now. You have a connection. There is an inner activity to your Akashic record. Your higher self was all of them. The one you have now as your higher self, that piece of you which is so precious, was the same one every single time. Hundreds of lifetimes, same higher self. You know what that means? You got a friend who was there. And that's going to play into the next thing I want to tell you. This gets complicated. I know we're drawing this out. This is important that you hear. In your Akashic record are attributes that you need, dear human being. This time, right now, in this new age, you need to have patience. Did I just hit a nerve? You need to be able to wait. And you might say, well, I'm an impatient person. Why don't you go into the Akash, ask your higher self which lifetime. Your higher self is not going to give you a number. Your higher self is going to go get it and make you a patient person. Kryon, I can change my attributes of my personality? That's what this is about. That's the new tool. Oh, it goes beyond that. How would you like to be slow to anger? How would you like to have a personality that never goes into drama or fear? How many lifetimes have you had to choose from? You can go get it. It's there. It lives in your DNA. That's why it was stored there. Lemurian, now go get it. Mining the Akash is what we have called this, the new tool of mastery. You go get the pieces and parts that are you, that you lived, that you deserved. What have you learned in this life? If I gave you time, if I gave you all evening, would you then start to enumerate what you've learned in this lifetime? As a woman, as a man, as a human. And you'd say, well, I need a lot more than one evening to write that down. Well, now multiply it by several hundred lives. And you've got a library. You've got a storehouse. You've got an immense amount of experience. And it's all now. It's all you. There's a human being to my left. He's the maestro. Let me tell you something about him. When he was born, he knew how to play the piano. Did you know that? He might say he took piano lessons, but he really didn't. I'll tell you something about him. He knew how to play the piano. He knew how to compose. The songs were in his head, for he wasn't finished with the last lifetime. He didn't learn to play the piano. He learned to shape his hands as they grew up so he could reach the keys and continue what he already knew. He's mined the Akash automatically. Have you heard of those child prodigies who could paint like a master? They're around, you know. Don't you wonder how that occurred? Now I've just told you. For their past life and their current life is so transparent, they come in and they just pick up where they left off. Now some of you have done this in other ways, because what you've gone through in a past life was fearful. And you've come in with the same fear. There are some who even say you're cursed with an energy and you can never get above it. I will tell you, that is in your Akash. And you brought it in, a fear that's so strong it affects your life lesson, your higher self, and all of your Akash. Isn't it time to get rid of it? And you can. You can reach right there into those energized layers of all of those lifetimes and pick out the one that had the hero, self-assured, courageous, loving, peaceful, healthy. Have you noticed I didn't give you the 5th layer yet? Now I will. Number 9. We've defined it as the healing layer. Now in 3D, you get very excited. You say, well, I want that one. As though you could reach in and pick it. You can't. They're interactive, remember? I've said this before. When you sit before a bowl of soup, you can't reach in and pick out the salt. You can't do it with DNA either. It's interactive. It's the flavor of the DNA that you taste, that you smell. How would you like to change the flavor of who you are, of who you think you are? How would you like to pick up the mastery? The tools are here. The tools are here. Layer 9 is called the healing layer, not because it heals the body. We never said that. It heals the Akash. Now we revealed some secrets. All of these layers work together. Some of them have laid dormant for all of humanity's time on the planet, ready to be activated when the Earth's energy reached a certain point that it's at now. I speak to a group of people who know what it's like to be confined in an old energy and suddenly have release and have an independent spirit. It is why I chose to give the message to you here first, because you can relate to the expansion of consciousness, to the joy of release, to the idea that anything is possible because you are on your own for the first time. You can choose what you want to do with it. Now you know why I'm giving it here, don't you?